lakṣaṇāsaṃpravṛttau ca न lakṣyam upapadyate lakṣyasyānupapattau ca lakṣaṇasyāpy asaṃbhavaḥ.
lakṣaṇāsaṃpravṛttau ca न lakṣyam upapadyate lakṣyasyānupapattau ca lakṣaṇasyāpy asaṃbhavaḥ. MMK chapter 5 verse 4. So I'm going to offer two translations of this verse, one that expresses the more philosophical or superficial meaning, and one which invites sort of deeper exploration on the basis of zazen, sitting meditation. So the question I've sort of raised already in connection especially with the first verse, which begins by saying a priori, before space is before there is space lakṣana, not an inch of space is found. And so far I've translated that as before space is characterized, or before there is characterizing of space, not an inch of space is found. And as sometimes tends to happen, I was quite chuffed with it, recognizing that lakṣana is an NA action noun, so it's better translated as characterizing than characteristic. That invites sort of deeper exploration of lakṣana as an act, not only as an attribute of things like space, but an act. And so I sort of started to raise the question, somewhat guided by Master Tendo Nyojo's description of zazen as digging out a cave for oneself in space, digging a cave out of space to sit in, something like that. So the question then, to ask it straight out, is lakṣana a suggestion of sitting meditation itself? And I think Nagarjuna's answer in this chapter seems to be no. But that doesn't stop us exploring the question and looking into why the answer is no. And I think the ambiguity of lakṣana invites exploration along those lines. So if you go back to verse 1, if we want to suggest the possibility, even if it's not true understanding, that zazen is space itself, giving shape to space. Zazen is giving shape to space, put it that way. Giving a moving shape to space, really. If you're thinking in terms of directions, letting the spine be directed upwards, not as a right posture, but as a direction. I think that is zazen giving shape to space? Those are the kind of questions Master Dogen asks at the beginning of chapter 72 of Shobogenzo, zanmai-o-zanmai. Is sitting horizontal? Is it vertical? Is it a somersault? I remember discussing that with Nishijima Sensei, and he said, yeah, the answer to all those questions is no, because sitting meditation is ineffable. Again, is it ineffable? No. It's always not that. And again, that has an analogous quality to having an Alexander lesson with a teacher who's got a very fine perception of what doing is. No, not that, not that, not that. Again, it links into the final chapter of MMK, in which Nagarjuna says the Buddha taught the direction sarva drishti prahanaya, in the direction of abandoning all views. Sarva drishti, all views. Prahana, abandoning. Prahanaya, towards abandoning. for the abandoning of all views. That's the direction we're going in. Anyway, not as necessarily a right answer, but as a better way of posing the question, I thought the best way of translating the first line that I can come up with so far is a priori, before space is defined, not an inch of space is found. So I've changed it from characterized to define. A priori, before space is defined, not an inch of space is found. See, if you going back to the dictionary again and looking up lakṣana, here's what the Moni-Williams Sanskrit English Dictionary gives: a mark, sign, symbol, token, characteristic, attribute, quality. Then it goes on, accurate description, definition. But then, a little bit down the page, most interestingly, we have the act of aiming at. Aim, goal, scope, object. So that's a very different meaning, isn't it? The act of aiming at. But I think it would not have escaped Nagarjuna's attention that hidden meaning of that alternative meaning of lakṣana obviously has meaning if we're interested in the practice of just sitting. You know, it has meaning in terms of the old story of polishing a tile or making a mirror. So that's to be explored more deeply than I hitherto explored it the 2 days when I was sitting out in the sunshine in the cabin enjoying the sunshine. I'm afraid that I was probably carried away by the sunshine and failing to pay sufficient attention to the words in front of me. So I woke up middle of last night worrying about it and feeling the translation of this chapter is at present in a muddle. And when I was translating Asvaghosha, one way out of that muddle would be to do two translations. So the first translation, the ostensible meaning, and then I would say, or in the hidden meaning, and then give another version. So that's what I'm going to do with verse 4. So I'll start off with the hidden meaning. So lakṣana in the hidden meaning is aiming at the mark. So lakṣaṇāsaṃpravṛttau is it's a locative compound. So lakṣana, aiming at the mark. Saṃpravṛttau means to get started, to come forth. So literally, where there is none coming forth, because the A at the end of lakṣana and the A at the beginning of asaṃbhavaḥ form a long A in Sandhi. So lakṣaṇāsaṃpravṛttau, literally, where there is none coming forth of lakṣana. Saṃpravṛttau can also mean commencement, commencing. So where there is no commencing of lakṣana. So if we translate lakṣana as aiming at the mark, as per the alternative translation of lakṣana given in the dictionary, where aiming at the mark has not started. Cha, again. So again, where aiming at the mark has not started, lakṣaṇāsaṃpravṛttau cha, a target, lakṣyam. So lakṣyam, in the first place, it means, it's really this word lakṣyam that got me thinking about, again, about how to translate lakṣana, because lakṣyam means, in the first place, it means the to be characterized, or the to be defined. And hence it means the thing to be defined. The dictionary gives that, the thing to be defined, as opposed to lakṣana, the defining. So ostensibly he's talking about the characteristics or the absence of characteristics in space. But really, he's more interested, as always, in practice. Not ontology, but sociology, as the philosophers would have it. So, lakṣya means an object, a thing to be defined, or an object. And hence, it can also mean a target, not only an object, an object of the senses, but a target that one actually aims at. So here again is the Sanskrit English Dictionary definition of lakṣya. As an adjective, to be marked or characterized or defined, to be recognized or known, observable, perceptible, visible. As a neuter noun, an object aimed at, prize, an aim, but, mark, goal. The thing defined, opposed to lakṣana, the defining. So obviously, the hidden meaning, he's talking about making a mirror. So target probably conveys that as well as anything. So lakṣyam, target, and na, not, upapadyate. Usually we translate upapadyate is possible, sometimes is tenable. But here, since we're talking about a target, the meaning of upapad, to appear, seems to fit. We're talking about target and aiming at a mark. I think appear fits. So a target does not appear. Na lakṣyam upapadyate. lakṣaṇāsaṃpravṛttau na lakṣyam upapadyate. Again, where aiming at the mark has not started, a target does not appear. So again, it invites exploration. One can understand it as describing an undesirable thing or a desirable thing. Where aiming at the mark has not started could mean there's no end gaining. It could also mean you're not interested in gaining the end at all. So it goes back to the Alexander thing about non-endgaining. Doesn't mean that you don't gain the end. It means you don't go directly for the end. You go there by indirect means. And actually, that's another meaning of lakṣana. It suggests indirect signs rather than directness. So there's wheels within wheels, I'm afraid. That's why I woke up in a muddle in the middle of the night, trying to sort it all out. See, in this situation, the best thing I know from experience is to do donkey work. That's what I used to call it in Shobogenzo. Just find something simple like reciting and learning it off by heart, or transliterating it. Do some simple work and wait for the understanding to sort of clear itself up. But so lakṣaṇāsaṃpravṛttau na lakṣyamupapadyate. Again, where aiming at the mark has not started, a target does not appear. So a target does not appear. In a sense, that's enlightenment. That's the Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree. There's nothing that he wanted. Or at the conclusion at the end of this chapter, drashtavyam upashamam, the cessation of objects to be seen, objects to be realised. So a situation where you're not interested in you're totally satisfied. You're not. There's no more thirsting, craving for anything. So a target does not appear. In that sense, can suggest the cessation of the dependent arising of suffering. But on the other hand, a target does not appear can suggest the very bad state of someone who's drifting without any sense of direction or any sense of meaning in life. You know, I always remember I used to go past a church on the bus on the way to university, or more likely on the way to the pub, to be honest. But I used to live in Hyde Park Flats on the outskirts of Sheffield, so I'd have to get the bus into the student union area where the university was. And I go past a church, it would say, a man who aims at nothing seldom misses the target. And of course, it was meant in a sort of onward Christian soldier sense that it's important to aim at something. But I always used to read it the other way and say, right, well, let's go down to the pub and have a few beers then. So, in a sense, that kind of irony is included here. A target does not appear. So I think he's asking us to explore, is it good to have a target? Is it not good to have a target? lakṣaṇāsaṃpravṛttau lakṣyamupapadyate. Again, where aiming at the mark has not started, a target does not appear. And second line. And where there is no appearance of a target, lakṣyasyānupapattau cha. So cha and. Where there is no appearance, an upapattau. So upapati is from the same root as upapad, to be possible, or here, to appear. So upapati means appearing, appearance, and an upapati means no appearance. And this is locative, as in saṃpravṛtti goes to asaṃbhavaḥ in the first line. In the second line, upapati, anupapati goes to an upapattau. So again, locative, where there is no appearance. Lakṣyasya, genitive singular of lakṣya. So of a target. So lakṣyasyānupapattau cha. And when and where there is no appearance of a target, equally, that's appy in the fourth pada, there is no possibility. So there is no possibility is asaṃbhavaḥ. A is negative. Sambhava means coming into being. For example, in chapter 26, verse 11, he says, asaṃbhavaḥ. Where ignorance has been stopped, there is a non-coming into being of samskaras. So that's the first meaning of asaṃbhavaḥ, coming into being. But asaṃbhavaḥ can also mean possibility, origin, source, or a cause of, occasion for. So those meanings are included as well, but I thought possibility fitted well here. So lakṣaṇasyāpy asaṃbhavaḥ. So that's lakṣaṇasya, genitive singular lakṣana, apy, equally, asaṃbhavaḥ. There is no possibility. So there is no possibility, asaṃbhavaḥ, nominative singular masculine. There is no possibility of, so asya, genitive ending, aiming to hit the mark. Lakṣana, aiming to hit the mark, lakṣana. So lakṣanasya, of, aiming to hit the mark, appy, equally, asaṃbhavaḥ, there is no possibility of. Lakṣaṇasyāpy asaṃbhavaḥ. So with Sandy, lakṣanasya and appy and asaṃbhavaḥ goes to lakṣaṇasyāpy asaṃbhavaḥ. Equally, there is no possibility of aiming to hit the mark. So where there is no appearance of a target, equally, there is no possibility of aiming to hit the mark. Where there's no end to gain, there's no possibility of end gaining. That's one way of reading it. But a more profound way of reading it possibly is we do want to have the possibility of end gaining so that we can inhibit end gaining. That's why Marjorie Barlow would never praise me when we played the moving leg game that I described several times before. She would only give me the praise when I moved the leg, when I gained the end of doing a movement, you see. So from that, I understood from having repeated it again and again, that it's not just a question of inhibiting and directing Alexander work. Working on yourself is that you have an end to gain. The end is to make a movement. And so you inhibit the idea of gaining the end. You inhibit the desire to gain the end so as to be free to really move freely, which is the gaining of the end. So that's translating verse 4 in the hidden meaning. Again, where aiming at the mark has not started, a target does not appear. And where there is no appearance of a target, equally, there is no possibility of aiming to hit the mark. And so within that hidden meaning, again, there's hidden meaning, because you can take it at least in one of two ways. You can take it at least in two ways, and very possibly in other ways I haven't thoroughly explored yet. So from that you realise that what Nagarjuna is doing here is far from sort of stating a clearly defined, cut and dried philosophical thesis. He's really out to ask questions and lead us in the direction of abandoning whatever answers we come up with. It's much more practical and dynamic than I think the way it's been hitherto studied by academics. Okay, well, having then done the hidden meaning, one of the hidden meanings, a translation that invites exploration of more hidden meanings, let's go back and do it more, a more straightforward translation based on the ostensible meaning. So, working from the English, well, I'll say the English translation first and then explain it word by word. Again, where defining has not started, an object to be defined does not appear. And where there is no appearance of an object to be defined, equally, there is no possibility of an act of defining. So in this translation, act of defining is lakṣana, and an object to be defined is lakṣyam. So those are the more obvious translations of lakṣana and lakṣyam. So from the English, word by word, again, cha. Where defining has not started, lakṣaṇāsaṃpravṛttau, an object to be defined, lakṣyam, so nominative singular neuter, does not appear, na upapadyate. Again, where defining has not started, an object to be defined does not appear. So what he's talking here, in this understanding, it's a more ontological question, where neither defining, lakṣana, or lakṣyam, an object to be defined, neither of them exist as things unto themselves. So the object in question here is space, and the point is, there is not an a priori space that out there waiting to be defined, and there is no separate act of defining it, even if we are so practical as to think the act in question might be our zazen giving direction to space. So that's why I say the answer to the question will be no, because if I think that my zazen is giving direction to space, it's like two non-empty conceptions. The space waiting for me to give it direction, and there's my act of defining it. So that will be the obvious way of understanding what's being said here. But in a way, it's a kind of a trap. You can understand everything that Nagarjuna is saying on that basis. You can say the whole point of every verse is to show that non-empty conceptions are false, and Nagarjuna wants to lead us away from non-empty conceptions of self-existing, separately existing things, so that we can realise the world where emptiness prevails. And so when we see the world where emptiness prevails, it's all puppy dogs and rainbows. So that I say it's a kind of trap, because when you actually practice zazen, it's not so easy as that. It's like people who think Alexander works simply, it's all about non-endgaining. Okay, but what does it mean? What does non-endgaining mean? If you think it means you don't gain an end, you miss the point. Alexander work applied to karate, for example, means you hit the makiwara harder than anybody else, because your direction is that strong. At least it would mean that in theory anyway. Very unlikely to in practice, probably. But that's the point I'm trying to make, is on one level, MMK is simple to understand. Every verse that seems difficult, well, you can just explain it away by saying, well, he's just explaining emptiness. But when you actually explore it on the basis of practice, there's always more. You can always dig deeper, and there's no better training to prepare one's mind for that than trying to understand what Asvaghosha's getting at. With the most famous example being Kanchanam Asanam. Well, not famous, but the most memorable to me, the golden seat. So ostensibly it means a throne, but below the surface, I'm pretty sure he had in mind the enlightened sitting of the Buddha. So asana means seat, and it also means sitting, in the same way that lakṣyana means characteristic or definition, but it also means characterizing or defining. And then to complicate matters before, as we've just seen, it also means an act of aiming. If anybody has managed to get this far in this video, well done. I'm sure it's hard going. Pressing on to the second line then. And where there is no appearance of an object to be defined, so lakṣyasya, genitive of lakṣya, of an object to be defined, and upapadyate, where there is no appearance, locative of an upapadyate. Upapadyate, appearance, and upapadyate, no appearance, and upapadyate, where there is no appearance of an object to be defined, lakṣyasya. Equally, appear, there is no possibility, asaṃbhavaḥ, of an act of defining, lakṣaṇasya, genitive of lakṣyana. So, and when there is no appearance of an object to be defined, equally, there is no possibility of an act of defining. So he's just turning the relation the other way around. In the first line, where the act of defining has not started, there's no object to be defined. And equally, where there's no object to be defined, there's no act of defining. So again, it's just kind of got sort of philosophical symmetry about it. It's like saying the relation between subject and object is a relation between object and subject. It's just turning it around. in order to clarify that the principle under exploration is that of emptiness. It's not, we can't talk about subject not being separate from object. We can't talk about object not being separate from subject, because to speak of subject and object is already to have gone against emptiness. If we say that subject and object are one, that's already two non-empty conceptions, subject and object. So you'll find that kind of expression all the way through MMK. But the point I'm labouring is when we think we've understood it at one level, we're always liable to wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh, to hell with it, I've completely missed the point.
lakṣaṇāsaṃpravṛttau na lakṣyam upapadyate lakṣyasyānupapattau lakṣaṇasyāpy asaṃbhavaḥ.